Yesterday, I flipped a laptop for profit. Of course, this is what I do for a living. I sell laptops. Of course, I also have, other income sources. The laptop sold for 345 euros and 84 cents. This is particularly very interesting because this is coming at a time where you won't be wrong if you say the laptop flipping business is passing through a very difficult time. Things are extremely slow. I've seen slow months before on eBay, on every other platforms. All right, sometimes we experience about 2 weeks of slow sales, not like zero sales. Sometimes we experience 1 month, but this year has been particularly very different. It's been like this since like February, the whole of February, the whole of March, the whole of April. And now we are in May, and we are still hoping that there will be a recovery soon in whatever is going on right now. Things are kind of proving very difficult. Sales are not coming through, even though a lot of the offers that I have set up on eBay, I have a lot of people taking a look at them. And ordinarily you would have thought that when a lot of eyeballs are focused on a particular listing, say a laptop, it is going to sell sooner or later. But what we are seeing now is that is no longer the case. I do not know exactly where the problem lies. These hardwares, they are searchable. I have tried searching them using incognito windows or browsers. These items are visible on the eBay search, but for one strange reason or the other, nobody is clicking on the buy it now button, even when the prices of this item are very competitive. They are not overly priced, not like a situation where the person that's currently killing it right now has a price that's pretty much like 40 or 50 euros different from what the competitor is selling. These prices are evenly priced and nothing out of the ordinary. So when this laptop sold, it got me thinking, yes, sometimes this is necessary for the business. Patience is necessary. It's an absolute must. One of the things that you have to bring to the table if you are thinking of setting up a business like this. Sometimes people don't talk much about the fact that patience is one of the essential skills that you need to succeed in business. Sometimes you would have done everything that you have to do. You have sourced for the right items. You have researched the items. These are items that people want. You have priced them accordingly. You have been very discreet with your profits. Not like you are trying to make 200 euros off a notebook or a desktop PC. You have priced it very well. You have set up a very powerful listing, variation listing, which gives people the possibility to come to your shop and buy something, which is, if somebody wants, a hard drive, or a particular hard drive size, they are going to get it. If somebody wants a particular RAM size, they're going to get it. You have set up these offers, good pictures, like I said, good descriptions, good titles, and you have even gone ahead to say, okay, I'm going to give anybody that comes to my shop to buy this item 60 days within which to decide if they really want to keep the item. And in the event that the buyer says, no, I do not want to keep the item, it doesn't meet my need, you offer them free returns. And you are even gone ahead to say, look, if you buy this item today, I'm guaranteeing that this item will be shipped out on the same day. And you have gone ahead to describe the item that these are grade A, extremely clean notebooks, desktop PCs, or monitor, as the case may be. You have done everything you have to do. And when you have done all this, ladies and gentlemen, I put it up to you that the only thing that is left in the equation is patience. You have to be patient for the platform to do its work. There are certain conditions that are absolutely beyond your control. If I had the magic powers now to just pull up a buyer from the hundreds of thousands of people visiting eBay today to buy all my items, I will naturally do it. But I do not have those magical powers. And when things like this begin to happen, there is one more skill that you can actually use to shine in this time, and that is what I said before, the skill of you being able to be patient, even in the face of things not just working the way you want them to work. Sometimes it could be very discouraging. I'm not going to lie to you, but given that we have been through this road, through this path so many times before, I can tell you that patience ultimately wins. Yesterday I had the possibility to, be a little bit worked up, a little bit angry, a little bit dissatisfied that, look, I have put in a lot of effort in making this thing work. But then I chose the path of patience. And this is one of the reasons why you have to have more than one thing that you are doing. Because if all your eggs were to be placed in one basket, which is called reselling, it's going to be difficult. Because when reselling doesn't work, you now have a situation where you are just sitting down like this, and then before you know it, somebody steps on your toe, you are angry and you react and you just blow everything up. All right, but if you have different things you are doing, when reselling is not working, I'm making videos about the fact that reselling is not working. So that takes my mind off the offers that have been listed on eBay, and it puts my mind on something else, which is making videos. Of course, making videos is not immune to this kind of patience. Even making videos, you also need to have some form of patience, because if you do not have patience, you are also going to come to a point where you are making videos, you feel like you are touching the right topics. This channel, the Hardware Flipper channel, is a classical example. You feel like you're touching the right topics, you are spending your hard-earned time to give value to a lot of people over the world, but for some funny reason the algorithm decides otherwise, decides to kind of hold you back, and that situation could be also very, very challenging. You know what it takes to make a video. It takes a minimum of 2 hours if you want to really start a video, which is setting out. Before I started making this video, I need to clean this glass behind me. I'm just sitting here on my balcony, and because of the pollens that we've had for some few days, it's kind of like very dusty. So what I did do was to first of all take a glass cleaner, to clean up the glass behind me so it looks a little bit presentable. Then I brought out my chair, brought out my camera, the extension that plugs to the wall. All this took already like 20 minutes, setting up this thing. Then I sat here, thought a little bit of what kind of video I was going to make, and now I'm recording it. Camera is rolling now for like 9 minutes and I'm not stopping yet. But then when this finishes, I still have to take out my SD card and put it on my on my PC and sit down for another 20 or 30 minutes, even 40 minutes, editing the videos, cutting out some things that were not just necessary while I was speaking, because I do not have a script here. So I'm going to be having a lot of moments which I would love to cut out, and when that is done, I have to go ahead and upload the video. I haven't uploaded the video, it doesn't stop there. You have to go ahead, write a description, put a thumbnail. At the end of the day, you are looking at pretty much 2 hours, and one way or the other, the YouTube algorithm just says, what, all this effort that you have put into making this video is bullshit. I'm going to cancel it. This video is going to see the light of day. That is particularly very discouraging, especially when you see people that have made what one can pretty much call effortless videos, just making some bunch of funny stuff, playing with your cats, and the video gets an abnormal amount of views, ranging in hundreds of thousands up to million views, just feeding a cat. All right, but then somebody sits here, try to tell you the back end of how a business works, the algorithm. I mean, this video is not about the YouTube algorithm, so we'll leave it at that. All right, so what am I trying to say in effect is that when you are making this content, you're putting in the work, nothing is working, and you feel like you have already done everything you have to do from your side, patience is something that comes to the table. Guys, if you continue to see the pattern, you will no longer be able to unsee it, because the pattern keeps repeating itself. You're growing up, you do not have a job, and you feel like you have gone through school, you've done your work, you've gotten the good grades, you are sending your applications, and nobody is calling you to give you that chance. Patience again comes to the table, and the list or the examples just keep going on and on and on. Patience is a particularly important character that you need to bring to the table if you want to succeed. And if you do not have that, the earlier you begin to tell yourself, how do I build patience? How do I begin to take things chill or cool? How do I refuse to be triggered by situations that obviously seem very difficult, very unpalatable? How do I stop myself from being triggered by that? And one very good way I have seen or have found out is if you have more than one stuff going on in your life. You might have a reselling business, you might have a job on the side, you might have an eBay, a YouTube channel on the side, you might have, you know, another kind of business. Like me, I still have an outlet where I sew pillow covers and try to sell them. All right, so if the PCs are not selling, or the monitors or the laptops are not selling, I could be making YouTube videos. All right, and if that is not working, I could be working my job. And when I come home from my job and I feel a little bit bored, I could go ahead, bring out my sewing machine and do what I have to do, you know, sew some stuff, and also spend time with my kids. Because of this, I'm able to spread my attention over different things, and that's exactly what you call a business in 2026. Gone are the days where all your focus is going to be on one thing, and when that thing is not working, I can promise you that you are going to be stressed out. And if you are not careful, or you have not mastered that skill of being patient, it might get to you, you might be worked out, and before you know it, you flip out and you destroy relationships or even structures that you have built that you naturally do not have to destroy. I hope this video finds you well. If it does, please do me a favor, go to the comment section, let me know what you think, click on the like button. Until I see you again in the next video, have a beautiful day.